America looks rich, but what if wealth is an illusion? Skyscrapers shine, markets hit record highs, and billionaires compete for space tourism. The dollar still rules the world, but beneath the gloss, the numbers tell a different story.
The US government has shut down for the first time in 6 years after lawmakers failed to reach an agreement on extending federal spending.
The United States is now over $35 trillion in debt, with another $100 trillion in unfunded liabilities for pensions and healthcare. Every minute, that debt grows by $1 million. And yet the government keeps spending, the markets keep rising, and most people keep pretending everything is fine.
36 trillion, it's a ticking time bomb, and according to the IMF, it is ticking louder than ever.
In 2025, America feels like a country living off the memory of its wealth. It once built the global economy. Now it's borrowing to sustain it. This is the story of how the richest nation in history became addicted to debt, and why the illusion of prosperity may be the most dangerous bubble of all. On the surface, America looks unstoppable. The stock market is at all-time highs. Unemployment is low. Tech companies are worth more than most countries. The dollar remains the global reserve currency. From the outside, it looks like the dream is alive, but look closer. The dream is built on credit. Since the 1980s, America's growth has relied less on production and more on debt. Government debt, corporate debt, household debt. The United States borrows not just to fight wars or build roads, but to function, to pay interest on old loans, to fund programs it can no longer afford, to keep the illusion of stability alive. For every dollar the country earns in taxes, it spends $1.20. The gap, the deficit, is filled with borrowed money. When interest rates were near zero, that didn't matter much. But now, America pays over $1 trillion every year just in interest payments, more than it spends on defense. Imagine a household spending more on credit card interest than on food, education, or security. That's where the United States stands. The strange part? Markets still celebrate. Politicians still promise. Voters still believe, because the illusion of wealth is powerful. Stocks rise, homes appreciate, credit flows. Everyone feels richer, even if no one really is. This is not new. Empires have always looked richest before they fell. The math is brutal. America's total debt now exceeds its entire annual output. 35 trillion in government debt, 17 trillion in corporate debt, 16 trillion in household debt. That's over $60 trillion, 3 times the country's GDP. For decades, the world kept lending to America because the dollar was considered safe. Every nation needed dollars to trade. Every central bank held US bonds. But safety has a price, and that price is trust. The more America prints, the weaker that trust becomes. In the last 5 years alone, the US has printed nearly half of all dollars ever created. It used to be that America made things, cars, chips, steel. Now it makes dollars. The product is debt, and the export is inflation. When Washington prints money, it doesn't stay in Washington. It spreads across the world. It raises the cost of food in Africa, rent in Europe, and commodities in Asia. And as the dollar weakens, other nations begin asking the question America never thought it would face. Why trust a country that cannot live within its means? In 2024, China, Russia, India, and Brazil accelerated trade in their own currencies. Saudi Arabia sold oil to China without using the dollar for the first time in decades. For the first time in modern history, global dollar reserves fell below 58%. It's not the end of the dollar yet, But it's the beginning of doubt. For half a century, America's greatest export was confidence. Now it's testing how long that confidence can last. But debt isn't just a number in Washington. It's a feeling across every household. The cost of living is crushing millions. Groceries are up over 20% since 2020. Rent has doubled in major cities like Austin and Miami. Childcare costs more than college used to. Half of Americans say they couldn't handle a $400 emergency without borrowing. 1 in 5 adults has medical debt in collections. Student loans total $1.7 trillion, trapping an entire generation into financial paralysis. People work harder than ever, but feel poorer. Median household income, adjusted for inflation, is lower than it was 20 years ago. Productivity rose, profits rose, stock prices exploded, but wages stayed still. It's not laziness, it's arithmetic. When housing, healthcare, and education rise faster than paychecks, people fall behind, no matter how hard they work. That's why the American dream feels broken. Not because it vanished overnight, but because the math stopped working. A 2-income family in 1990 could buy a home, raise kids, save for retirement. In 2025, that same family needs 3 jobs to rent an apartment. The government tells them the economy is growing. The stock market says America is winning. But the dinner table says otherwise. When people stop believing that work leads to reward, societies fracture. That's how empires crumble, not through invasion, but through exhaustion. America's divide is no longer political, it's structural. The top 1% owns more wealth than the bottom 90% combined. The richest 1% control nearly 40% of all assets in the country. They own the companies, the land, the media, and the influence. Meanwhile, half of Americans have less than $5,000 in savings. 1 in 6 children lives in poverty. And the average millennial is poorer at age 35 than their parents were in 1989. The illusion of growth hides in averages. When a billionaire doubles his fortune and a worker loses his job, the average looks fine. But the country isn't average, it's a balance. That balance is breaking. The wealthy insulate themselves. Private schools, private jets, private security. The rest face rising rents, broken schools, and endless debt. The divide isn't just economic, it's psychological. The rich see opportunity, the poor see decline. One group watches their stocks rise, the other watches their bills pile up. This isn't new, but the scale is, because now even the middle class is vanishing. Owning a home, paying off debt, saving for retirement, those used to define stability. Now they define privilege. The American middle class, once the largest in the world, has been shrinking for 40 years. And as it disappears, so does the sense that this country still belongs to everyone. That is the real danger. Because when people stop believing the system works, they stop protecting it. For decades, the United States was the world's unquestioned leader. The dollar was the default currency. Its markets were the safest. Its economy was the engine that powered global growth. But now, other nations are studying America's mistakes and learning how not to repeat them. China built its economy on manufacturing and infrastructure. It owns more than half of the world's steel production, controls rare earth supply chains, and dominates solar and battery industries. India is growing faster than any major economy, fueled by young labor and digital infrastructure. Meanwhile, America debates its debt ceiling. In the 1990s, America produced 25% of global manufacturing output. Today, that number is closer to 15%. It still leads in innovation, AI, biotech, software, but not in production. And when you stop making things, you lose more than jobs, you lose leverage. Countries that once depended on the United States are building alternatives. The BRICS alliance, Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa, is expanding trade in local currencies. Saudi Arabia and the UAE are exploring new energy partnerships with Asia. Even allies like France and Germany are quietly diversifying away from the dollar. This doesn't mean the end of American dominance, but it means the end of monopoly. For the first time in 70 years, the world can imagine a system without a single superpower. And here lies the paradox. The United States still looks strong because the world still uses its currency. But that currency looks strong because the world still believes the United States is strong. It's a loop of confidence, and once that loop breaks, so does the illusion. When Rome began to fall, it didn't lose its armies overnight. It lost its credibility, and the world slowly stopped believing in its promise. Every illusion ends the same way, suddenly and all at once. America's debt crisis isn't just financial, it's structural. The government spends more than it earns, corporations borrow to buy back stock, and households rely on credit to survive. The system feeds on belief. As long as investors think US bonds are safe, the debt machine runs. But what happens when they stop believing? In 2023, the US credit rating was downgraded again. Foreign buyers of American debt fell to their lowest share in decades. Japan, China, and Saudi Arabia, once the biggest holders of US treasuries, have been quietly selling. That means someone else has to buy the debt. And that someone is the Federal Reserve, the same institution that prints the money in the first place. It's a self-financing loop. The government borrows, the Fed prints, the people pay through inflation. It's a quiet tax, invisible, but universal. The price of every dollar you earn shrinks a little more each year. And yet, politicians act as if nothing is wrong. One side blames taxes, the other blames spending. Both avoid the truth. The American model no longer balances. Infrastructure is aging. Healthcare is unaffordable. Education costs more than a house. And each generation inherits more debt than the last. This isn't just a financial reckoning. It's moral. Because a country that promises opportunity but delivers debt eventually loses more than growth. It loses trust. America still tells itself it is exceptional, the land of opportunity, the engine of innovation, the defender of freedom. And in many ways, it still is. Its universities, its culture, its companies, they still shape the world. But exceptionalism has become a shield against accountability. The truth is that America has been living off its reputation. It borrows from the future to fund the present, prints money to fix yesterday's problems, and it calls it growth. The country that once led the world by producing real value now leads it by producing paper value. Stocks, bonds, debt, all rising, all floating on air. Meanwhile, bridges crumble, wages stagnate, and millions struggle to pay for medicine. The empire is not collapsing from outside invasion. It is eroding from within, slowly, invisibly, through the decay of trust, balance, and responsibility. And yet, there is one thing America still has that few others do: the ability to change. It has reinvented itself before. After the Great Depression, after the oil crisis, after the 2008 crash, each time it rebuilt stronger than before. But reinvention requires honesty, and honesty is what the country lacks most. America was built on faith in the future, that if you worked hard, saved wisely, and played fair, your children would live better than you. For 2 centuries, that faith was justified, but faith without foundation becomes fantasy. The United States still has everything it needs to lead again: technology, talent, energy, innovation. But first, it has to admit what it has become: a nation living on borrowed time and borrowed money. Because pretending to be rich is easy. Rebuilding what made you rich, that takes courage. And that's the choice America faces now. Keep pretending the dream is alive, or start doing the hard work of earning it again.